Any advice that you could give for people that are like, I'm really smart and I'm really good at what I do, but when it comes to tough conversations, I like want to crawl under my desk.
I love tough conversations. I
Why?
really do. Why? Why do I love tough conversations? Because it's the beginning of something different. Once you've had the tough conversation, something's going to change, whether it's an action or a perception or a mindset. But I'm all for change. I challenge status quo all the time. I'm always looking to be better, do better, grow. And I want that for my clients. If that's not something they want, then that's fine. But I don't think we'd work great together if they weren't looking to be better or do better. And not just for themselves, but for the people around them. It does start with you. And I want you to do and be better yourself, but not with the intention of you being power hungry and mean to those around you. It needs to be for something bigger and better for everyone else around you. But in terms of the tough conversations, language is so important, so important. So when you're going to have a tough conversation with someone, I would advise, again, there's so much that I would ask, but if I'm going to be generic, I would say get out of your own head and be factual. When you're speaking to someone, avoid saying you, because that's very aggressive, in my opinion. Keep it business focused. Also ask questions. Don't go straight in there without understanding them. Be curious about the other person. And I don't mean here's a templated script. Genuinely be curious about the other person. Who are they? Why are they behaving the way they behaved? Why did they do what they did? Ask them. Oh, and definitions are so important. I start most of my difficult conversations with asking for people's understanding of X, Y, and Z so that we're on the same page. And then I would give them my thoughts on what my translation or my definition of X, Y, and Z is. That way I'm not opposite them. I'm next to them,
Mm.
saying, this is how I'm looking at it. How are you looking at it? And then I'm very factual with a difficult conversation with, okay, so the business needs this and this. The problem we have is this is what's happening. Do you think we could do about that? And hopefully they'll come out with a good answer. And if it's not something that I think is feasible, I would say, here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on that? If there are behavioral issues, we're talking about something completely different. That's a different kind of tough conversation and would need a concrete example to be able to coach you
Let's do
through
it.
that. There isn't
Let's
a
do it.
generic.
Let's do an example. So Joe is on the team. He's rated
Am
as
I coaching you?
yeah, we're gonna pretend
I'm coaching you.
but we're gonna make him
Oh, well, you're Joe.
I'm Joe.
Fine. You're
I'm
Joe.
Joe.
Hi.
And I'm rated as 3 every year, mainly because I have some fits of brilliance. But then other times I am tough to deal with. I make promises I can't deliver. My work isn't so good. But then there's other times my boss will get an email that says, "Oh my God, Joe just was like a superstar and solved our big problem." Okay. And Joe's a project manager. He does technical project management and gearing up for a year-end performance review. And in the past, he didn't work for you in the past, and he's just been told you're okay. But he's a problem because he is so up and down. How would coach someone to have that conversation, or maybe just have that conversation with me as Joe? That tough conversation.
There is so much going through my head right now. I would want to get to know Joe. I would ask Joe, okay, so you're Joe. I would say, Joe, what's going through your mind when you're performing really well? I would
Mm.
ask the same questions for when you're not. I would ask him whether when other people think he's not performing well, does he have the same assessment of himself? So do you think you're not performing well? What does well look like? What does that take? What do you want the outcome to be? I'm very outcome focused when I'm coaching my
Mhm.
clients. What do you want the outcome to be? Actually, I'm going to go off on a tangent on that one because with outcome, but I do want to address the Joe thing. Oh my goodness, so many things going on through my
Mhm.
mind. So with the outcome based thing, if you if you start from point A and you go to point B and point C and point D, you're doing people do a lot of self filtering and ego gets in the way. That I don't want to look bad, or I don't want them to think this, or I don't want to do that, or that's not going to look good. I'm one of these people that as a kid, I never saw the point of doing a maze where I would keep hitting a wall in the maze. I'm like, that was a waste of time. I would start in the middle and draw the path backwards and be like, okay, this is the path to get there. This is the path I'm going to color it. And I approach life like that and my coaching like that. I always ask, what outcome are you looking for? And then we work backwards. And because we start at what the outcome looks like and feels like,
Yeah.
and then work backwards, ego's less of a big deal. They're not being defensive because it's like, okay, you can do that, but it would take this and it would take this, and you will need to say this and you will need to say that. And they're like, oh, but we've just sat there for a minute and looked at what the outcome will be if you do that. And that usually gets a lot of buy-in. In fact, it always gets the buy-in to be like, okay, I'm going to park my ego for a minute because I'm aiming for that over there and that's what it looks like. And
Mm,
that's what I have to do. With Joe, I would say, what do you want your outcome to be? So if Joe's outcome is, I want a promotion, I'd be like, what do you think of promotion? What would it take for the promotion to
mm,
be awarded to you? You'd say, I need to perform at this level. Okay. What would it take to perform at that level? And I would look at everything, the relationships, the skill, the technical ability, everything.